I think spending $80 on a Nintendo video game is okay. And before I hear any sort of accusation about me guzzling on corporate pepperoni, I want you to maybe just listen to what I have to say, because maybe it's worth considering, perhaps. So yesterday, Nintendo announced a 10% increase to their base wage of the employees, which was the second increase since 2023 of the same amount. So in 2023, Nintendo gave a 10% wage increase, and then on 2026, yesterday, or today, or the day before, the 26th. It's Australia. Time zones are weird. We tend to be ahead of everybody. So the 26th of June, which is my yesterday. Anyway, they did another 10% increase for the annual wage. And considering inflation in Japan is cumulatively, that's a weird word, 8% approximately, you're gonna have to be hard to arguing Nintendo isn't actually looking after their employees. 10%, and then on top of that, another 10%, 21% cumulative over, 6 years? 3 years. Very good. Wild, actually, you could say, in a time like this, especially for a video game company. So there haven't been any massive layoffs at Nintendo. There haven't been any widespread implementations of AI. There's been no reporting of insane crunch time for employees, but it is a Japanese company, so take that with a grain of salt. That's probably just their regular work life, which is fucked. But considering you haven't heard anything, so maybe it's okay. Thing is, with all that context, I can definitely see the argument that the price increase of their games has enabled them to look after their employees, which is what I'd argue a company should do. Yeah, we're living in a moment now where cost of living and the cost of everything has kind of quietly decided to become unreasonably, how do you say the word, stupid, silly. The gap between what things cost and what people earn has become this sort of background hum of stress, it's like the wallpaper of modern life. Really shitty wallpaper, just bland, but offensive. Bland and offensive. Like camouflage. That's bland and offensive, I guess. Hideous wallpaper. Anyway, so games, obviously because it's a product in our economy, got caught in that crossfire. Because, yes, $80, 80 USD is a lot of money. It is a lot of money. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that it isn't, because that'd be insane. That'd be crazy. I'm not going to say that $80 is not a lot of money. It is. I'd be a maniac to say otherwise. When it got announced that Mario Kart was 80 USD or 120 AUD in Australia, I was livid. I was very annoyed. I was like, why? Why are you doing this? Why? Everything costs so much. Why are you doing this? But most of the conversation around expensive games is treating the price tag as the whole story. Game cost go up. My wage has not. Therefore bad. Therefore boycott. Therefore ratio, and so on. And I guess that's a reasonable response. But it is looking at one number and ignoring everything else. Because, as I mentioned, Nintendo has been doing some genuinely weird things comparatively. They haven't done massive layoffs. As I mentioned, they haven't come out with a big splashy announcement saying how AI is going to revolutionize their pipeline and they're going to quietly replace half the workforce. They're just sort of just keeping their people and apparently paying them more than inflation, which is bare minimum, but great. And apparently the bare minimum is not the norm for video game companies. Look at Rockstar, GTA 6, also $80 USD, or $100 if you get the proper game that isn't locked behind everything. Ugh, so stupid. And what do you get for $80? What did they do last year? Layoffs? return to office mandates that got a lot of employees just to leave, and they were not able to get any sort of redundancy payouts. And oh, of course, the allegations of union busting. Funny that. And that's the same price. Completely different energy than Nintendo. In saying that, with all that context, my genuine question is, if we're going to argue that wages need to keep up with cost of living, which I think most people would broadly agree with, I hope, then what are we actually asking for? Because like if a company raises its prices, and those high prices are used to retain staff, avoid layoffs, and raise wages, and we boycott the price increases, we're completing the circle in the wrong fucking direction. I'm not saying rollover. I'm not saying we have to accept every price hike because it potentially could do good for the employees, because like, no, most of these are just profit grabs. And we all know it. And I mean, it's fine to be annoyed about it. Be annoyed. Fuck profit. It is the theft of labor. But I think this is genuinely good news from Nintendo. And I just kind of wanted to make a video saying, fuck yeah. Well done. More of this, please. Like, I hate capitalism as much as my other comrade, but unfortunately, it ain't gonna go away anytime soon. So, in the interim, I think it is appropriate to reward labor-positive behavior. And if we vote with our wallets by not purchasing things from bad actors, why can't we vote with our wallets the opposite way? I just want to tell everyone that, like, yeah, I'm a fan of this. More companies should follow suit. So yeah, good stuff, Nintendo. I'm happy to buy $80 Nintendo games. Once I get a 10% pay increase, of course.